Hey everybody, welcome back to the TO desk. After so long, we are finally back with the show brought to you by 956 Productions, giving you a little bit of insight into the staff, what we've been up to, what we're doing, what we're thinking about the world as it is. Today I'm joined by a couple of our regulars. Dippy, Kumabo, how you doing?
I am terrible now. It's been busy.
It's been
I don't have
busy.
time to play much of anything. Never mind fighting games. Haha.
Yeah. That's going to be the recurring theme that everyone in this call is like fighting games. What are those? We're all playing Nikkei here, obviously. And Corin, who is actually playing that game. Corin, how are you?
I just lost a boss battle, but it's okay.
That's unfortunate. And rare appearance of Osu. Osu, what's up?
I'm offended that you even put Nikkei in my vicinity.
No, but seriously, like every internal
But,
call we're talking
like-
about Nikkei. What's up?
But yeah, I'm around somehow, busy as usual.
Yep. So
We're gonna 12-hour shift today, so it's all right.
yeah, we've all been busy. We've all been super busy. That's the recurring theme. Very busy, very out of just out of place, just doing our thing, vibing. But we should probably give a status update. Last time we did this thing was just kind of like a wrap up, just talking during Evo. I feel like, or after Evo, I feel like there's usually not a lot of retrospective stuff immediately after an event ends, like a major, because everyone's so damn tired. So the fact that we did anything is kind of a miracle. But yeah, this is probably, the first time that we really had to sit down and talk about what we've been up to since we announced our next event, which is the first topic that we're going to have today, which is Vortex Gallery Online 2023. So if you were at Climax tonight, I know I had a great time. I know I was here with Osu as well. We announced the next iteration of our online event. After doing it in 2020 and 2021, going, offline for 2022, we decided, what? The online thing is so strong. We have so much international representation. We have so many people that we work with that we have to make it happen. That even if we were to continue doing offline events, we really had to make it happen. So we got everyone together and we announced 80 plus tournaments for the online event from the start, which, by the way, is more than we ended on in our 2021 online event, which was the largest that we had, right? So 80 plus tournaments. I feel like we had maybe like 3 more than what we ended with in 2021 as an announcement lineup. And
Yeah, we ended with 81 once we added Strive, and then we started with 84.
yeah, 84. Yeah, there you go. And so
How many games have we added since the announcement?
so we've added a bunch of games since then. We've
And
been
there's more coming.
yeah,
too.
we'll get there in a minute, but yeah, we've been, as we always do, we decided to open up registration to kind of get everybody in there, and everyone's always like, oh yeah, where's my game, like, oh, can we volunteer to get in there, etc. And it's like, yeah, for sure. And we always do it kind of in a 2-step process, right, where we're like, okay, well, this is the first one, and then we're gonna do our next wave of lineup, right? We always do lineup 1 and then lineup 2. But after Evo, where so many people came to us and we just had so many games that we were adding, we decided that we should adopt that kind of confirming ASAP policy into like our basic kind of model for the online event. So now, as soon as we have an event that's like ready to go, we know the people, we know the names, or we're confident in launching the game, we put it out there right away. So to like answer your question, how many games are not in our lineup? So or have we added since then? Let's see. So do
I
we?
think it was 94, right?
Yeah, we have 94.
sure.
We have
Yeah,
94
10
sitting
more
in
games.
our like records right now. But I
Should
just
be 10 more officially.
yeah, it's 10 more.
Six away from 100.
And those 94. Are they the confirmed ones? Yeah, they are. Yeah,
That's where it all began.
so we've added 10 more, and we're still working on more. There's still some more that are being worked on. Like, it's difficult to really understate like how big of an event this is this time around. Like how many people we've worked with before that wanted to come back, or how many people want to create the event even bigger, and like some of the stuff that we're doing in the back end to really make the madness happen. But yeah, so again, I mean, if you missed it, we're doing it from February 5th, right? Is it February 10th to March 5th? February 10th to March 5th. That's 4 weekends of online tournaments. So Friday through Sunday, every weekend, we're going to be launching a bunch of tournaments. You guys are going to be able to register for them pretty much up until the week of when they start. And this is applicable to North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Oceania. You know, we're working with events that are cross-region, like NA plus Japan or NA plus Europe or all of the Americas and stuff like that. Like, there's just so many.
There's even a couple of Emma events this year so far, right?
Yes,
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, Europe is getting its own dedicated like events, and they're including EMEA.
Everybody in Antarctica.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have any
we don't have any
Antarcticas yet.
Antarcticas.
But you know, if you want to organize something,
Yeah, if you're out there, you're trying to play. There's like
Yeah,
that
if there's
picture.
someone-
What is that picture of like KOF like 2002 in like Antarctica or something? There's like a picture.
Yeah, like a couple of researchers playing
Yeah.
KO 2002 at a research base in Antarctica.
Yeah, that's a classic. So if you're trying to be that crew, then you know, just talk to us. I'm sure we would accommodate you somehow. But yeah, just to kind of give you guys an idea, like we have over 250 people registered so far in the early registration period. You can register right now for all these games that we're talking about. And what do I mean by like early registration is that we're going to have a schedule out showing you guys the actual weekend days that they all happen, what time, right, everything. So if you just want to reserve your spot right now before the caps, right, for some of these brackets hits, you can just do it completely for free at start.gg/Vortex Gallery. Like absolutely, you know, no commitment. Try to show up, obviously, don't get DQ'd, but you can easily sign up and then later we'll be publishing the schedule with all of these events. And if you want to add your game, or maybe you want to commentate for a game, or you want to help out the community, you know, a lot of these very tight-knit communities are taking part in this. That's how we're getting a lot of these niche games. That's how we've always done it.
if you play a niche game and you get really annoyed that none of the commentators know what they're talking about, or just everyone's explaining the base premise of the game during the commentary for your game, now's your chance to be the guy who knows what's up.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Like, we need like all the specialist people, all the people who are like super involved in their community. They always come together to make these things happen. And it's like, it's a nice opportunity for you to commentate or to help out communities that maybe you're not familiar with. Maybe you want to help out in a particular region that, you know, you don't really get to cover very often, get some unique perspective. That's there as well. And our volunteer forum is open pretty much until, for main games, or for game editions, I should say, it's going to be open until December 16th. So you've got about 4 more weeks. And then if you want to help out with any of the games that we have already confirmed, right, then you can pretty much apply whenever. We'll be announcing that cutoff much later. So, again, we are planning for this in February and March of next year. We're already getting people in the door because it's like so many people. It's literally hundreds of people that we work with. So this planning starts early. And you know, the quicker you can get your information to us, the quicker we can confirm your game, get that registration out there. Like I said, we already added 10 games to our lineup. We're about to hit 100 games. Like, that's a guarantee pretty much at this point for us. The question is, how much more than 100 do we really get, right? Like, that's kind of, I think, what we're thinking about now. So
I can say I mentally want to cap it at 120. Anything past that,
yeah, 120
feel
sounds
we'd
like
we have to add a weekend, because like with 120, that's 30 games per weekend already. So that's something like, if we get anywhere past that, I'm just like,
yeah. So if we get 5 weekends, guys, I will go to the Smash GG banner where it says 4 weekends of global community tournaments. I will open MS Paint and I will like hastily like scribble out the 4 and write like 5 like with my mouse. Right, and I designed the thing, by the way. So if you want to see that happen, then I don't know, run a bunch of games. Don't, but you know, like that could happen. So you know, check it out. VortexGallery.moe for any info if you want to know who's running what regions. Right, you can check it out. The website actually tells you all the games, and it shows you all the regions for all the games. So if you're like, oh well, how many regions are we running BlazBlue? All of them, to answer your question, but they're listed out. And for those other games that have like a couple different regions, you can see like there's an NA one and then there's an EU one, right, for example. So that kind of thing makes it very easy to figure out what you can participate in. Other stuff. Online 2023 information, we're mostly expecting, just kind of like as a general update, we're mostly expecting to get our promo and our big info drops to go out in January. That's when we're gonna pretty much have all the information that you guys want to know, the schedules, the rule sets, and what kind of surprises we're gonna have planned, all this stuff, like all the info that you guys come to expect. That stuff's gonna be out pretty much at the start of next year. We are working on an immense amount of just to intake for people right now, and on top of that, planning the event as well, all the logistics and design of it. So super
also
yeah.
broken intake multiple times during this process this year, just to let y'all know if you're curious.
Yeah.
We have broken it many a time.
Yeah, things are broken a couple of times. That's how it be. But pretty much just like stay tuned to our Twitter for us announcing new tournaments. That's kind of what we're doing right now. And just reminder that you have about a month left to bring in your game if you're thinking about doing that, as well as like if you're part of the crew that's volunteering for that, like get to us early. In the meantime, though, our TOs, right, that we work with, they are doing their thing pretty much always. They're running. A lot of the people who run our tournaments with us are people who run their weekly, right, online, or they run a monthly, or they help out with majors to bring side events, stuff like that, like just people who are in that culture already. And so they're running their events. Like they're going to do Vortex Gallery in February, but they're not necessarily just doing nothing in the meantime, right? And so one of the things that happened during the 2021 event was people were asking us, like, how do we do events promoting Vortex Gallery? How do we coordinate like a schedule or promotion for things that are kind of like hyping up that community and driving interest and getting signups? And so for that, we did something called Vortex Gallery Volumes, which is our Road to Vortex Gallery event brand. If you go to our website, vortexgallery.moe, and you look at volumes in the nav bar, or just scroll down a little bit, it'll show you the Vortex Gallery Volume schedule button. You guys can see all of the events that are basically being run by RTOs that are kind of leading up to the events. So, like, for example, like if you want to play Chianta, the Chianta players are running tournaments, and they're taking part of that. So there's Chianta events on the schedule, or Guilty Gear Exard, which is, they're having a European bracket. Then the European TOs, they're running their thing. And Multiblood, there's Multiblood monthlies for Actress Again Current Code and Type Lumina. You can check those out as well. Most of these events have like some sort of matcherino. They always have a stream. They're being run by the people that we trust to run our events. So they're really great for you guys if you guys want to get that practice in, or you want to start competing in tournaments right away. You just want to play in tournaments, you're not sure where to go. We've got that kind of thing. We also have exhibition events, like there's contests and exhibition streams that we're doing. And I want to take a minute just to kind of recap some of the stuff that's already happened, as well, just so that we can kind of shout out all the players and our organizers for doing that. So, like, in October, we announced this program at the end of October, and all throughout November, we've been running tournaments. So, first of all, Dankuga Battlegrounds ran on the 28th of October. Shout outs to Toast Rider for winning that one. That Dankuga is running with us. All these games that you guys are going to hear, like, they're open for registration right now on our Star GG page. So, you guys have the opportunity to just sign up. So, like, Dankuga, they run their monthly thing, and for Dankuga Battlegrounds number 3, Toast Rider was first place. Chianta Fight Club ran a special kind of event that they called Michelle Manor. Shoutouts to Yellow Swerve for winning that event. It was like a special format. Dawn of Revival, our Guilty Gear Exard Rev 2 TOs in Europe, ran their rollback beta tournament during that weekend that it was running. Shoutouts to Niffy for winning that one. That was a 32-player bracket, by the way. I think that was the cap. And then, of course, we have the Multiblood Monthly Sonata for Blue Glass Moon, which I'm helping out with. We had events for NA, Type Lumina, and Current Code for both NA and Europe. So in that particular instance, the winners were... Let me actually just pull up their standings here. I have the... So for North America, Type Lumina, Lucy came in first place for that one. Current Code Europe, Smo. Shout out to Smo. And Current Code North America, Soft Drinks. Soft Drinks did a great performance at Climax Tonight, by the way. And Skeleton was in this bracket as well, the champion. of Climax Tonight for current coach. So this was a strong bracket, and big ups for that win as well. Other events that happened was the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax 10v10 crew battle, which literally just happened a couple days ago. That was Team Japan versus Team North America. It was 10v10 again, and Team Japan won 20-17. So big shout outs to them. That's pretty much the sum of events. We do have a Samurai Showdown 7 tournament coming up for Xbox. That is going to be on the 26th, so a couple days from now on Saturday. If you are interested in that, do be sure to check out vortexgallery.moe/volumes, and we will be updating that with more events as RTOs announced them. So that's kind of the way that we're building out the event to be beyond just the weekend, the month-long takeover that we do, as long as that is, right? Most events like these, they run in a weekend. You know, they just pick a couple days and they do the whole thing. Now we space it out to give people the time to play in as many games as they can, watch as many things as they can, just get that hype train going, right? And we're really looking forward to it. But I will say that this particular time slot of the year is very busy. There's a lot of events going down early next year. Not the least of which is Evo Japan. So let's talk about the news a little bit. Let's talk about Evo Japan really quick. Actually, Evo Japan, you know what's crazy is that Evo Japan doesn't even have like all that information on their official website, like on Evo GG. Like you have to go to their Twitter. I didn't even realize that until now. Evo Japan has like their own Twitter account, which I knew about, but they do like all their info through Twitter. So Evo Japan official lineup is going to be Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Guilty Gear Strive, The King of Fighters 15, Melty Blood Type Lumina, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition, well, Street Fighter 5, I guess, Tekken 7, and Virtua Fighter Esports, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. So, this is interesting. I want to say that they actually added the last 3 games later is what it was, right? Like, they added, like, Grand Blue Type Lumina, yeah, and Virtua Fighter, like, later. So, you know, these games are very popular in Japan. VF, in particular, getting another Evo outing. So, this is a bit of a loaded edition, right, Kumabo?
A load? Well, I mean, it's all relative, right? I mean, it's kind of a weird. Actually, the timing for Evo Japan relative to the pandemic and the release schedules and whatnot is super weird because everybody, well, for Street Fighter, it's like what going to be potentially the last major event for Street Fighter 5. We don't know. We don't know the exact release date for.
I feel like, yet. Yeah, but I feel like there's just
at the most, it's gonna be one of the last ones.
In terms of like events that really prize Street Fighter as like their main event. Like, there's going to be other events. Like, there's going to be Frosty Faustings and stuff, but...
Well, I mean, Evo Japan happens after Frosty Faustings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. There's other stuff, but, like... Let's see. What else is, like, near this time? Like, nothing, right? Yeah.
I don't know, actual...
Oh, yeah, because Evo Japan is, like, way later.
It's in March. End of March.
End of March. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. I had it in my head. It was, like, way earlier. For some reason, yeah. But yeah, it's in the end of March. So like, yeah, this is probably the end of Street Fighter 5 like competitive events. This is certainly the send off for Japan, at least. I think that's the for sure, right? Like Japan.
I mean,
is...
they're gonna have their final like the Street Fighter League because I think they're doing that. In
Japan, yeah, when
North
is
America,
that? SFL Japan Finals. When is that? SFL.
And they're gonna have
March 10th, I think, or somewhere around there.
Have they actually announced how they're doing the Capcom Pro Tour Finals yet?
I think they did, but I'm not too sure.
I can only find the US League easily accessible. Yeah, I actually don't know when the SFL Japan 2022 stuff is. I feel like I actually have no idea. That's a really good point. I guess, but that in particular, I feel like SFL Japan, that's kind of its own thing. people are more interested in this in terms of like open tournament, like quote unquote major stuff. Like that's kind of what people see this as, like the last major.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the events themselves are also in kind of a weird, but it's a very transitory period.
Yeah.
Because everybody's coming out of the pandemic. People are trying to figure out what events are still viable, what events still exist. Like there's
You
a
can
bunch of
finally go
majors.
to Japan again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because Japan recently, as of early October, lifted their travel
I
restrictions.
think that by the way, I think like I'm not implying that anyone knew anything about this, but I think it's crazy that they announced Evo Japan before that, right? Because they announced
I think
Evo Japan.
Okay, running Evo Japan is just for Japan.
That's just for Japan. Yeah, I guess that would have had to have been like the assertion. But
that is kind of also like the way the tournament is set up, is that it is kind of assumed to be Evo just for Japan, plus a couple extra.
I did see people very interested in going to Japan for this particular event, though. I think international representation for Evo Japan is probably, I mean, not probably, definitely higher than Evo was this past year.
For Asian entrance.
Yeah.
I'm also like, I'm not even gonna say this like to talk shit on Evo Japan, but you also have to keep in mind like Evo Japan, like traditionally once it's scheduled, it's also somehow scheduled around like every other random concert and event that's happening. So it's just like, well, if I can hit up Evo Japan because I can also hit up this concert, that event, and that event all in the same weekend anyway.
Oh yeah,
So
wasn't
it's
it
kind of one of those
2019?
super bloated.
Yeah, they were running against. They're on the same weekend as a BTS concert.
Yeah,
is that true? That's really funny.
Same city. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ow.
So people trying to get hotels got bodied.
Yeah, I imagine. But
at least they're in Tokyo now, so in the Tokyo area. So
Tokyo big site
lodging. Oh yeah, man, it's. I don't know. That's a huge venue. I mean, granted, I'm used to most of it.
If you have never been to Tokyo Big Sight before, I want to tell you now, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah. I have been to Tokyo Big Sight. They're Comic Head. It's freaking like each hall is the size of an aircraft carrier. It's stupidly huge.
Stupid big. Like you are going to get all of the steps in if you care about your walking distance for the day. You will get a good 20K from walking that venue.
And there is a rail station right at the venue. It's just the venue is huge.
Big place, big place.
I've seen those lines. They're wild.
Yeah, it doesn't matter once you have to line up under the fucking rail station. I was like, I won't forget. How long ago that was.
Push you into the rail cars, and yeah, I've been part of all that. It's an experience.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure even though they probably are mostly interested in addressing Japan with this, they're going to get a lot of players from traveling outside, probably who want to make like one last statement in Street Fighter. Some of these hardcore anime players, obviously Melty Blood and Grand Blue, we're probably going to see some people. Guilty Gear as well.
Tekken is also a thing.
You'll
probably get a lot of Korean players for Tekken.
I'm interested in seeing the interplay of all the different Asian competitors for King of Fighters in particular. Because if we get people from like Taiwan, from Hong Kong, to show up like that, they play a very particular game in that region, so it could be cool to see the diversity of teams, or it could not be. I don't know. I'm just interested in seeing international players collide for that particular game.
And even if it's like a lot of the same characters, like there's still different approaches.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of like the one thing. Like it's always interesting to pick apart regional top 8s for King of Fighters 15 because there seems to be so much variation. But in this case, I mean, who knows what kind of talent we're going to see there.
I mean, that's kind of one of the major appeals of these large tournaments in general is that you have all of these top regional players coming together, and they're going to have different approaches. And it's like the old cliche styles big fights.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about Virtua Fighter. Let's talk about VF.
One more thing about Evo Japan.
Sure, go ahead.
We get to the other thing that's interesting about Evo Japan is because they decide a lot of their picks based on lottery. You end up with some really like out there picks for games that are featured.
Oh, that's for the side games mainly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Evo Japan is probably the only other place where you'll see like Ranma Hard Battle.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I misspoke to say that Evo Japan does not have info. They have a separate website. I did not know this. I've literally never seen this until now. It's actually cool. It's got like
It's kind of a
animations
separate
and stuff.
event under like a separate the way it's organized is weird.
I mean, yeah, I was just like, I thought they had no website. They actually do. It's like way cooler too. So like, it's kind of similar to the main one, but it's like, I'm looking at it now. It's got you can volunteer. Oh, look, here it is, side events. You cannot apply. It says, it's. I just looked at this and I was like, okay, I'm reading it, and then it says, if you are interested, please apply now, and then apply now is grayed out. Was there?
No.
I don't know how you apply to run a side event at Evo Japan right now, but
you do it a long time ago, and then they pick by lottery, I think.
I mean, there are a total of 7 tweets on this account, and none of them have anything to do with side events. So I guess at some point they must have mentioned this somewhere.
Yeah, no, they've taken signups. That's how it worked in 2019, anyways. That there was a volunteer sign-up process at some point, kind of similar to how we do it.
I mean, I'm sure. I'm just like surprised that you can't even like inquire at this point about it. I don't know.
No, it's too late.
It's crazy.
You're done.
It might be too early. I don't know.
Or yeah, exactly. I don't know which one it is. That's what I'm like trying to figure out. Is it too late or too early, or maybe it's too early? I want to say it's too early.
You know where you're done. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah. You're probably right, honestly. Anyway, yeah, check it out. EvoJapan.gg is the website. Apparently, that's very on the nose. But yeah, so let's talk about Virtua Fighter. So Virtua Fighter is on the lineup. When was the last time Virtua Fighter was at Evo? Main game.
Officially?
Main game 2007.
There you go.
7. Yeah, it's been that long.
There
What
was
was the exhibition?
It was an exhibition. There was a very large and with a prize pool bigger than the main Evo games side tournament in 2012.
Okay, so
And
let's say 2012 was the last time.
It should have been a main game in 2012.
Either way, at this point, it's over a decade.
Over a decade. And you know what the crazy and what was that? That was VF5, right? What version was that?
Showdown.
So
That was Final Showdown.
So the balance is the same. So we're playing
literally the same.
we're playing the same game 10 years later. That does not happen all the time.
Oh no, that's
10 more years.
10 more years of VF. I mean, I'd be up for 10 more years of VF. Like, hopefully.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people probably didn't think about the game's balance being old when they got into VF5. If you're like a newcomer, right? Like, you probably didn't think about that. The game's presentation is sufficiently modern.
Yeah, and honestly, in a way, that's a good thing. Is all like if you go to VFDC,
Exactly.
like,
You go to VFDC, all that info is there. Everything still works.
Info.
Yeah.
You know how when a new game comes out and people are like on the ball posting new info, and then like 6 months later there's a huge patch, and then all that info is no longer any good, but people are not as good at like collaborating all that info and getting it all posted up, so it's just sits there outdated, useless forever.
Yeah, and some of it can be
Not going to happen with VF5.
Yeah, not happening with the Final Showdown information from a decade ago still applicable. Like, yeah, that's really bad for some games, like what happened with Nitro Plus Blasters, for example. Like, I just remember that as an egregious version of that, because it's like they put out a final balance patch and it kind of sucked, and everyone's just like, screw it, and nothing got updated.
It's too late. Whatever.
And it's not like the game has good online, or not any example of games is playable online nowadays. It's kind of sad, but yeah, this is the flip side of that. It's kind of like I guess StarCraft Brood War would be the ultimate example of that, where that's a game that hasn't been balanced in like 20 years. This people, I mean, it's not nearly as big as it was, but this people is still grinding that stuff. They'll grind it till the day they die.
I mean, are there any egregious issues with the Final Showdown's balance?
Egregious? No.
Other than Taka being allowed to have arms when he's should not.
Which is kind of funny, because from some recent stats I see, Taka is actually the least played character in the game.
Good.
And the game actually has and that speaks to the game's balance. The character usage spread is very evenly distributed. Like the high, I think, is like Akira at like 9 or 10%. I mean, it's Akira.
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And like the lowest is like Taka at like 3 or 4%.
So we got a game that's like 10 years old now, and I don't want to spin rumor mills or anything, but I'm gonna quote the translation from VFDC of a 4Gamer interview where they say Aoki comments that he was offered. I'm paraphrasing a little bit just for reading. Aoki comments that he was offered to attend Evo, but he declined. He said that his reason for not going was there were no plans for a new game and no new announcements to make. So he did not want to attend with nothing to announce. So this was actually a joint interview with Harada, in which Harada said that he also felt that he could not attend the tournament without having something to announce. Now, it should be noted that Evo, Harada did attend, and he did have something to announce. So one assumes that Aoki is attending. I guess we don't know if that's for certain. But if
it is an assumption that people are making,
the assumption people are making is that Aoki will be present, and there may be something here for fans of Virtua Fighter, whether that be a new game or some content update to Ultimate Showdown, remains to be seen. I honestly think like it would be really nice if they announced, it's probably very early, to announce at least that there is another game in development, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there was a very like a content update related to VF5 that's like very much on like the esports side, right? Like the Japan only like VF5 esports like type of thing. Like maybe they do like another competitive season, or they do like another content update, likely. Right? Like that could be a thing, because that's the audience that maybe they want to address, just the Japanese player base.
Yeah, there is still like an audience of like esports, air quotes, diehards for VF in Japan. Like Beat Tribe has been going on for like basically forever.
Yeah, I mean those are the VF lifers that have been playing for 20 plus years.
I guess I do want to ask you about that, Kumabo in particular. Like what kind of competition could you imagine seeing for like this kind of event? Like what could possibly be the player base that shows up to this event?
I think I'm not gonna say I've been following it super closely. Like I'm probably not the person to ask in terms of what happens with Japanese players. I've always kind of been almost like never really to follow. Not the most detailed watcher or the most diligent watcher of the player bases in any game. Not just Virtua Fighter. But the impression that I've gotten is it's a mix of a lot of the old players that have been around, that they played Final Showdown, and it's like, well, why would they stop playing? But there's also been a fair amount of there's been more new players that have popped up. Now the game's actually available on a platform that they own. That is a fair bit of it. It's just the availability. It says, you can actually go and buy Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, you can actually buy it and play it now. Yeah,
not on PC, unfortunately, but you can do it on PS4 and PS5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, is it going to be like an all Japanese top 8, top 16? I don't know what international.
All Japanese. I mean, there are. It's always been a very Japan-centric game. Not to say that there aren't strong
of course,
players in America and Europe and other parts of the world. There are. It's just, especially in a Japanese event, you're going to have a ton. It's going to be. Although, like, and I definitely don't know anything about it could be other parts of Asia, Korea or Taiwan or from other parts of Southeast Asia.
I don't know. I feel like it's a big toss-up.
I don't follow it that closely.
I don't. Who knows when Evo Japan will release their attendees? So actually, how do you sign up for Evo Japan? Is it on StarGG? I would hope so, right? Entry.
It might not be. It might be Tonamo.
Okay, it's on StarGG. It's right here. That's actually surprising. Oh, wait, what? Their attendees are public. Wait a minute. So I can tell you right now that there's 977 people registered for Evo Japan 2023.
Huh? Already, damn.
Yeah. We have 80 people signed up for VF. Now that we're talking about it, you can actually see the names of people, like right here.
I would imagine the biggest games, obviously, I mean, all the biggest games in Japan, it's like Street Fighter, Tekken.
I will tell you in a minute because apparently we have all the info. I'm just looking at this list really quickly. Yeah, a lot of Japanese players. There's a couple of names that I've seen elsewhere. Yeah, there's a lot of there's this. I'm pointing out a couple people in here that are like Western Virtua Fighter players that I guess are making the trek over. I wish you luck if you do that. I guess very briefly, Guilty Gear Strive has 400 attendees. Street Fighter 5 has 311. Tekken has 169.
Yeah, that's lower than Tekken, I would have thought.
KOF has 115. Melty Blood Type Lumina has 140. And Grand Blue Fantasy Versus has 116. So pretty big spread. Guilty Gear remains dominant.
One thing about Grand Blue
actually,
is...
let me talk about this more important thing.
Okay.
So why specifically for Virtua Fighter it doesn't say esports next to the game on Smash?
Because that is actually part of the game name in Japan.
Yeah,
So
because
the
in
Japanese
Japan it's
version
Virtua Fighter
is called-
Esports.
It's literally called Virtua Fighter Esports.
That's so weird.
But they
With the
realized,
lowercase e though.
yes,
Yes.
but they realized correctly that calling it that in the West would get the game clowned on. So that's why it's Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown in the US.
It's the ultimate version.
I did not know this, and this is terrible information. Oh
And
no!
same thing that happened with Puyo Puyo, because there's Puyo Puyo Esports in Japan.
Yeah, Puyo Puyo Esports.
And it's Puyo Puyo
Champions.
But I at least
Certainly
heard
is
about
champions.
I at least heard about Puyo Puyo. I didn't know about this for Virtual Fighter. Like this is
It is
This
the
is
exact
hilarious.
same game. It's just a different name.
Guilty Gear Strive in particular has a lot of international attendees and a lot signed up.
I mean, it's like, are you looking forward to? Do you need an excuse to go to Japan?
Yeah, this is just there's so many people here who's like, yeah, this is my excuse. This is what I'm doing.
Especially post-pandemic,
blast.
hell yeah! I'd be like, say no more.
Say less, bro.
Before the yen makes a recovery.
Oh yeah, that is. Oh yeah, especially for American players. Yeah, it's getting the flight is a blow up, but the dollar is so strong against the yen, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. So this is the current state of things. It will be interesting to see how big this event gets and what else they announce for it. And if you're trying to run a side event out there, then I wish you the best of luck because I don't know how you do it, but I assume at some point you will be told how, or maybe you won't. But good luck either way.
you know Ree.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess the other thing on the docket in terms of news is sticking to the topics of 3D fighting games, just to kind of talk about everything that's been going on. I feel like fighting game news in particular has been on the low key. I say that as Sin just got announced for Guilty Gear Strive. That's probably the biggest thing that's happened.
Yeah, he's coming out in 2 days.
It's coming out in 2 days. It's coming out for Thanksgiving. He looks cool.
Oh, 3 days, I guess. 3 days. Depending on when you listen to
What are we? Yeah, if you listen to this when it comes out, it will be 2 days. He looks pretty cool. I don't really want to have too much to say about it. I don't think we, particularly at this circle, have much to say about these things. But the other kind of news docket that we wanted to talk about was Team Ninja's future. This pertains to Dead or Alive in particular. So there is a conference. There was a keynote conference by Team Ninja for the G-Star Conference, is what it's called, in South Korea. It was conducted by Fumihiko Yasuda. That after the release of Wolong, Fallen Dynasty, and Rise of Ronin. If you're not familiar with what those are, Wolong Fallen Dynasty is an action RPG being developed for Xbox, and Rise of Ronin is a open world, is what it looks like, open world samurai RPG being developed by them as well for PlayStation 5. So they have two.
Everybody gets an exclusive.
Yeah, they have two exclusive titles being developed right now for each platform.
I don't think Wolong is exclusive, but that's already cited for Game Pass.
I think it's like Wolong. It might not be.
I actually played the Wolong beta on PS5.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So
because
it's not
I remember it
exclusive,
getting
but it's not a
announced for
Game Pass.
Xbox. I remember it getting announced for Xbox first. That was like their thing.
Yeah, no, it's coming to Xbox, and they
Is
have
Rise
they have
of Ronin
marketing,
coming
and
out
it's on
for
Game Pass.
Rise of Ronin?
I don't think so. I think that's actually PS5, PlayStation console exclusive.
It might be, yeah. So
And they're all coming to PC as well, so it's like, just play on PC.
is it? I feel like Rise of Ronin is an exclusive. I feel like that one is definitely an exclusive.
I think those are because nobody, not even Sony does true exclusives anymore.
I mean,
I think it's just console exclusive.
yeah.
Because it's like all of Koei Tecmo stuff is on PC.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I feel like Wolong Fallen Dynasty is coming out everywhere. Rise of Ronin, I think, is PlayStation, and then we'll see if it goes to PC. And then they kind of explained what they want to do after that. Now, personally, I feel like Team Ninja has been, or Koei Tecmo, I should say, really, has been kind of like really coming into their own with doing licensed games for like Nintendo and doing new IPs. Like they've been doing pretty good with that, right? They've been putting out Neo, they've been putting out those Warrior games with Nintendo.
Yeah,
like they're making money. They're making the bag, right? So what you would not expect is a slide to show up at this thing that says that the future of Team Ninja is to reboot popular series, and they show two images. One of them is from Ninja Gaiden, and the other one is Dead or Alive. So that their statement here is that after these games that they're working on, the future that they want to do is to reboot these two franchises. This is interesting, right? It feels like Ninja Gaiden is a very particular aesthetic, but it does kind of feel like the new stuff that they're doing, like Neo and Wolong, like it borrows from that and it kind of creates a fresh identity for them to work on, right? But
yeah, and they said that was one of the reasons why they're like, we're not making Ninja Gaiden. We want to work on something different and not with the same bag. Like if we made a new Ninja Gaiden game, people have expectations of how that plays. And they wanted to go in a different direction, and then they made Neo, and that's the Neo 2 in particular is very good. It is a very strong
like they have been doing very well, just removing the shackles or whatever they feel about doing these legacy IPs.
So I think if they're going back to Ninja Gaiden, and I think now, especially if the team with that experience, they have the experience now, they could make a good Ninja Gaiden game. Definitely way better.
I mean, I think they could.
I
I think like, will the new Ninja Gaiden be good? I think the answer is yes. I feel like very few people would kind of like argue against Koei Tecmo's ability to deliver an action game. Like that's what they do now. Like that's all they do.
Because they're rebooting Ninja Gaiden now. I think that was the translation anyway.
Yeah, the reboots is the word that is here.
Certain expectations, Zach. I want because, like, let's be honest, Neo and Wolong as well, to an extent, kind of fits in the same mold, not one to one, but in a similar vein to
they're very similar. Yeah, they're well, there's that, but I feel like Ninja Gaiden's like emphasis on monsters and no, not really. I mean, Ninja Gaiden's emphasis is like monsters and mythology and like magic, and so like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the mechanical stuff. Like,
sure.
Ninja Gaiden, it is much faster paced. It is even more punishing.
Sure, but I mean, like, if you want to go to like Souls, like, yeah, I think the team is can deliver like the vision of the game, but I mean, FromSoft did Sekiro as well, right? And that was a completely different type of thing. I think they could do a similar pivot here towards like a more, I don't want to say character action, but like a more fast-paced action game. Wolong in particular,
like a dedicated action game.
Wolong in particular looks a lot more action-oriented. And I mean, they're doing the fucking the Warriors games right now for like Nintendo and like Fire Emblem Warriors. Like they have people who know how to do this stuff. Like I don't.
I think again, a lot of it comes down to execution and the details and all of that. But yeah, they probably
So I'm going to tell you what I think this all hinges on first, but let's talk about Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive.
I think that's a lot trickier.
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of people are very, curious about. So, okay, my thing about this is this. So, like, there's no reason to do these reboots, in my opinion. There's just no reason. Like, Koei Tecmo could do anything they wanted right now. Like they are in a really good position as a company. They're getting all the work. They're getting positive releases. They got hype both in licensed and in original IP. So if you do this, you need to give it a budget. You should not screw it up by just not giving it enough resources, right? That to me is what this all hinges on. Like, you have to be willing to pour a lot of resources into making these games like the best they can be. They cannot be a licensed thing. They cannot be like a double A quality game. They have to be proper, polished, feature rich AAA games. And
I don't think they need to be AAA, but they do need to be good. That's the
no,
fundamental.
I think they do.
That is the fundamental issue with what Dead or Alive 6 was. That game was just not very. No, okay, so it was two issues that are related. One is not a very good game.
It was
but
nice
it's
and
not a
shiny
very,
though.
It was not. No, I wouldn't say it's that. It's also doesn't really justify its existence in any way. That game does not do a single thing better than DOA 5 Last Round.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
the
what
main
I'm saying.
complaint I've heard about it.
But that's what I'm saying. DOA 6 does not have enough resources poured into it to make it outshine DOA 5. I agree with you. It's such a step down in terms of the package, right? So if you're going to make a DOA 7, right, whatever it ends up looking like, it has to, like, fundamentally redefine the package for Dead or Alive. It has to have good online. Like, there's no way this thing doesn't come out with amazing online. Like people are like, oh yeah, Koei Tecmo, they've never done rollback, whatever. This is gonna have it. I feel it. Like,
they
there's
shouldn't
just
even waste their time.
they shouldn't, exactly, because you know what the thing is, like, if Dead or Alive, they could just make another extreme game, like, right? Like, they could just do that. That's kind of what's in the back of my mind the entire time. Like, if they're gonna do Dead or Alive, like, you don't have to fucking do a fighting game. Fighting games are full of exactly.
Yeah.
Fighting games are demanding, and the player bases won't shut up about having basic features, and they're just like whining to you about rollback the entire time. Like, you don't do that without, and especially because like very few brands in fighting games have the ability to pivot like DOA. Like, if they just don't want to fuck with any of that, they're just like, all right, we're gonna do a new extreme game next year. See you guys then, and they'll just make like a bunch of money, right, doing that, and then like they could make people happy doing that, but they're gonna do, it looks like, right, because this is a screenshot of DOA 6 that they have in the slide, a proper DOA fighting game, right? So I think that this all hinges on them getting enough people, enough money in it, enough time of development for them to really make like the big full-featured 3D fighting game that DOA was, because 4 and 5 are just huge, like massive packages, and there were just like so many revisions before that I feel like there's just no reason they wouldn't do that. Like, if you're gonna even do this, I feel like they know they have to go all in, like 100%.
They have to do it right, because I mean that's what a lot of this hangs on. And as I said, the issue specifically with Dead or Alive, you touched on this already, is actually in two different angles, honestly. One being the game's presentation, because the series has always had a huge and infamous reputation for being horny as hell.
I mean,
not
yeah,
words about it.
I don't think DOA
Ever since
6
the
is
first
anything
game,
egregious, though. I honestly, like, now...
yeah, it's like, because Street Fighter 5's gotten worse.
Exactly.
Soul Calibur's gotten worse.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I was saying that's the game. But Street Fighter doesn't have a beach volleyball game where you're trying to date the other women in the game. Like, it's not a thing with Street Fighter.
I mean, we started this podcast referring to Nikkei, and I've been saying for a while that, like, once you see all of like the TNA in these games for long enough, your brain just filters it out as noise eventually.
Well, I mean, DOA 6's roster is not... I mean, there's a lot of swimsuit models in it, but it's not all that, right? DOA is not exclusively that part. I feel like that...
I mean, every time they've tried to relaunch DOA, they always try and, like, back away from that stuff, and I think that's kind of a mistake. I feel like their real, like, claim to fame and their name cachet comes from embracing that.
But that's the thing. If they want to embrace that, they don't need to make a fighting game at this point.
Like, they made
Why would
Milla
they do
as,
that?
like, a kind of an attempt to, like, combat their reputation and their general image, and then she became like the least popular character. And meanwhile, the anime characters they put in, Honoka, Marie Rose, and the new one who's only in Venus Vacation, like, became extremely popular characters.
Yeah, you could be right about that. I mean, I don't put it past them to make an interesting roster. I do think though that like they need to lure people in with like a compelling game system and just like do interesting things. I mean, I think DOA 6 does interesting things. I think DOA 5 does interesting things. Like there's a lot of very unique stuff here that I think people just don't really look into.
Well, no, it's not that DOA 6 doesn't do anything interesting. I don't think it does anything well.
Yeah, they did a lot of the things in DOA 6 were a step down from Last Round Ultimate. What was the final version of that called? Like the final one? Yeah, Last Round. And Last Round, by the time it was Last Round, was just such a complete and full package that like it was like, why would I play this game over
you have
Last
like
Round?
a bajillion. There were like several different modes you could mess with. You had tag battles, and people meme about the billion costumes you could buy.
There were Virtua Fighter characters in it.
Yeah, and they were.
It had Mai Shiranui, and she was actually sick.
Yeah, like the guest characters were really well done in DOA 5.
I mean, it's worth stating that when DOA 5 Vanilla came out, like 10 years ago, probably now, it was not received well.
But then they made Ultimate, and then they made Last Round, and they kept updating it.
Yeah, they kept iterating. DOA 6 did not get that opportunity, but it was just such a step down from something that was already out.
And that's part of it as well. So they put out a couple of updates worth of content in DOA 6, and they're like, we're done. Like, they just bailed out. And they're like, really? Like, and that's gonna hurt trust. Now it's like, well, why should I spend the time trying to learn this game if the developer's gonna bail out the first out of trouble? Like,
I mean,
they're not gonna try to fix, because they could have done the same thing with DOA 6. They could have fixed it.
Yeah, they could have.
DOA 6 Ultimate, that'd probably be a much better game.
Almost definitely.
But they're not. They didn't do that. And then you look at what they ended up making with those developer resources. You know, they made the Neo games, they made Hyrule Warriors, you know, the Fire Emblem games. It's like, yeah, from a business standpoint, they probably made the right decision. Almost certainly made the right decision, because those games were way more successful.
I mean, what were the contemporaries in the fighting game arena around the time of DOA 6? Like really getting its big push. Yeah, it was Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7 was kind of on its denouement.
Wow, Dead or Alive 6 was only in 2019. Are you serious?
Yeah, Million Arthur was new-ish around the time that came out.
I feel like Dead or Alive 6 was a million years ago. How was that?
Yeah, I was gonna
say
DOA 6 and Million Arthur feel like they came out forever ago.
Yeah, no, it's only been 3 years. They've been an interesting 3 years, but
okay.
I mean, fighting games have kind of exploded in a big way since then, so I can see them like being willing to give the genre a chance again, even if they wrote it off at the time.
Yeah, I mean, they I'm forgetting his name, but the then director of DOA 6 had since left Tecmo, and but now it's like they're gonna have somebody else step up. Maybe that might be what it needs, is a new direction. But I think part of the problem is also just,
I mean,
from a
it doesn't need a new direction. I don't think. I think DOA's identity is very unique in the 3D fighting space, and that their whole fighting system is just unlike anything that exists. And the aesthetic that they chase after, the way that they design their stages, I won't comment on the story or the characters because I think some of them are very hit or miss. But I think that they have something very recognizably them. In particular, like stage backgrounds and character rendering, like that stuff is like, that's their forte, right? And so like what they need is one, to probably make it easier to come in as a newcomer, because who the fuck knows what's going on in the story of Dead or Alive, or what it's about, or like what the game system is even like. Because
never mind having to deal with 25 different characters that have 100+ strings each, and you're like, well, how do I block all of this?
I mean, I think 3D fighting game players like that stuff. I think at this point, like, there's been enough Tekken and enough Virtua Fighter to I think people just kind of like that stuff now. Like, maybe it has a niche, but that's a niche people seem to buy into. So, or at least the casual players who buy it still don't care. So it's cool, I guess.
Yeah, because they don't have to care. And I guess that's one of the pluses of DOA is you can hit buttons and stuff happens.
I mean, DOA has also been like a technical innovator for a long time.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way they've used it has been wild, but like they were one of the major innovators in soft body physics, which has been like a difficult problem in animation for like ever, and still is.
And also with like, especially going back to like DOA 2, DOA 3. With the
like, if you guys think Tekken 7, like Tekken 8 is gonna look good, like fucking DOA 7, is probably going to be like mind bending. Like that's kind of what I'm imagining. Like these DOA has an identity. It is technical prowess. The games are always beautiful. The fighting system in particular is very unique. I don't know what they're gonna do about the characters. I feel like maybe people need to have the characters presented in a way that are a little more relatable, or just easier to parse as a newcomer. Like, who's the main character? What's the plot? Like, who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? I feel like if you don't play DOA, you have no fucking clue what the answer to those questions
all you
are.
gotta know is Kasumi is the bad guy because she's boring. And the sooner all of the other characters get rid of her, the better the series will be.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the bigger question here. Like, what is the story and background of DOA look like for this version? Because Tekken isn't doing anything; they're doing the same thing again. But like Street Fighter 6, completely different, right? Like completely different take on their universe. So,
and it's like, even if you don't care about the stories, it defines the characters.
I mean, I think they should
care about the at every level. Care about the characters.
Yeah, I think they should care. I think people do care about these characters. Not necessarily these characters like the Dead or Alive characters, but they do care about fighting game characters. People like that stuff. People get invested.
Like that's generally one thing fighting games in general do very well.
So, I mean, I just hope that they're willing to like hire the people who know their stuff. Like, they're willing to innovate. Like, if this is the first 3D fighting game with rollback netcode, first of all, shame on you, Tekken and Virtua Fighter, for not doing it sooner, because this game is probably like 3 years away at earliest, right? And like,
oh yeah, and if it's the first game that does that, then we've got problems, because that means at the very least Tekken hasn't done shit.
Yeah, at the very least, that means Tekken 8 had no rollback, or whatever the fuck it is that they are doing.
I'm willing to bet that Tekken will be the last of the big 3D fighters who gets rollback, just because Harada is digging in his heels so much. Because basically, his entire life is people screaming at him for a thing, and he doesn't want to give it to them. And honestly, I wouldn't want to give it to them either.
Yeah, no, and that's one of those things where it's like you look at the business side of it, at least pre-pandemic, and you could kind of sadly understand why they didn't make that change.
Tekken 7 got made like 10 years ago. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
The thing is, like, I understand why the game doesn't have good online. I kind of understand at a certain point, right? Like,
back then, nobody was buying games because the online worked.
I mean, the game was coming out in arcade first. Who gives a fuck about DGPO, bro?
Yeah,
like, that was not the game that was not the world that Tekken 7 was made in. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, that's
like,
but that's the thing. That's the difference. That's become an expectation. That Rubicon has been crossed, and you cannot come back from it. Now it's like Tekken 8. If Tekken 8 rolls out with the same netcode that Tekken 7 had, that game will get memed into the ground.
I mean, it'll be memed to the ground. It'll sell 7 million copies again.
People will still buy and play.
Oh yeah, people will still buy and play.
Yeah, but it's going to be a much bigger PR hit than it would have been 7-8 years ago.
Anyway,
I mean, Street Fighter had like broken rollback netcode for how many years?
It's full time. Full life.
It's still broken, my friend.
Still broken.
I'm so confused about Street Fighter 5's online. You know what? I don't even want to get into that right now. I have a lot of questions about it. But yeah, I mean, first of all, the source for this information is Free Step Dodge, who translated the keynote. So shout outs to them.
And I think this was corroborated on other. Like, I think I saw this on Video Games Chronicle as well.
Yeah, well, VG Chronicle quoted Free Step Dodge, so they are the primary source.
So it's the primary source. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with the news. There's been a lot of like European fighting game majors. There's been a lot of Smash like in the past few months. I've been kind of tuned out of all of it. Just I'm chilling right now, working on the event, just making things happen in the background. If you're a Guilty Gear player, you finally got some food. Who knows when Melty Blood's gonna get the next piece of information? Who knows? I feel like I don't know what the other developers out there are really working on.
There was the Katsuki look test.
Yes, there was location tests for I9s. I feel like I would have added that in the thing if I was paying attention to it. Yes, there
I
is.
just remember it too. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I do want to say, there's some information out there about those loc tests, that is kind of like leaked. Apparently, there's like a some of the changes that were made are like leaked, and then there's some lists going around from Japanese players who like observed some things about the location test that changed from the original. But yeah, there are location tests. There's a Game Center Will in particular has the YouTube VODs of it, like them playing it. So that's cool. The game is obviously coming together very quickly, which is cool because like the game got developed like 10 years ago, so they ported, they updated it like mad quick, I guess.
Well, I think it's also it's weird because Settle Style's with 2 people.
Subtle Style is one person with a bunch of people that he talks to when he needs to work with them.
And that one person works for his day job as a French bread.
Yeah, that's what we've always understood. Yeah.
So he's already working. He's doing double time.
The new characters are Valkyria it's like a boss character. Well, they're not a boss character. They're like playable, but they're like a boss like in the story or something. And then Robo Akatsuki is like a character by themselves. Their name is Inazuma in the character. I know that. So there's those 2. There's Mikhail A. Fun fact, there was a poll. This is like a variant version of Mikhail. There was like a poll on the CN supporter page where you could vote if Mikhail had glasses or not in her character sprite. And the outcome of that poll, I want to say, was like 200 for glasses, 20 for no glasses, something like that. It was literally like 10 to 1 stacked for glasses.
Yeah. So that checks out.
Yeah. I am a supporter of their crowdfunding, so I do get their updates in my inbox. Do look forward to that. I actually had no idea. I don't think it got put on the crowdfunding page that they were doing the location tests, but there are VODs out there if you're looking for them. Like in particular, look up a Game Center Will. I know that's where they were doing it.
So what else? Oh yeah, Chaos Code still exists apparently.
Oh yeah, they were, but that was they had updates for that. Was that at the Taipei Game Show? Was it?
Was there?
Yeah.
I feel like I completely missed it. I feel like I would have another
And
thing that I
CEO.
would have talked about if I knew. Oh yeah,
But,
CEO. Yeah, there was a playable
It's been a
build.
while
of
since our
CEO.
show.
And I don't
I
know
wonder
if
they
there
make
was
another announcement at Evo Japan, because for people that aren't aware, they had originally announced
They had
the
announced
Chaos
that,
Code
yeah.
at Evo Japan 2020, right before the pandemic hit, and then the game got canceled.
It got
then
put
a
on
couple-
indefinite hiatus, rather.
Yeah, and that usually means the game's canceled, but it turns out it was not the case in this instance, because the game has been basically brought back into development and is actively being worked on again.
Well, they were very candid when they told us it was going into indefinite hiatus, that they were trying to do a big push to Evo Japan to get funding because they didn't have any funding for it, and they didn't get the funding. But it seems like they either found the money or found the will to make it, because development is pushing on.
And it sounds like both, honestly, because
And it looks sick.
Yeah, it
they
does look
redid
cool.
all the key art for it, and like a bunch of the sprite. Actually, they redrew everything too, didn't they? Because it's actually in HD now.
Yeah,
All
it's
the
new
old sprites
yeah.
are being remade.
It's all new sprites. That's a lot of work, by the way.
One thing a lot of people don't know about Chaos Code is that game was in development like forever.
Yeah.
So you can tell which sprites are from early development versus late development. Like
Yeah, it was
Hermes sprites do not look as like shiny and polished as newer characters do, like Ray or Lupinus, for example, because they were probably made like almost a full decade before them.
Yeah, it was mainly the 2 Lin brothers, right?
Yep.
And now, for people who aren't, one of the reasons the game was canceled was because one of them is now deceased.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
kind
so
of a
it's
big
just
deal.
Mickey now.
Yeah, it is just Mickey now. And I mean, the game does look very feature complete now. There's only like 2 characters is what they showed off, but there's gonna be like a bunch more. What else happened in the Japanese doujin scene? I know there's a new character in Islaf 2 now.
There is indeed.
It's a
Speaking of
port.
games that have been plugging along forever.
Yeah, so you can.
Islaf,
It's a port of Islaf. They literally brought in the sprite of the character from the first game, and then they updated them. They like ported them in engine, and then they started doing like updates from there. Is like what happened.
Which is a cool way to do it.
Serena, there you go, Serena. This character has a unique cancel mechanic. Apparently, this is what I'm reading on the wiki. So that game's crazy. I'm sure it will blow up once it's a little more polished. I really hope they do a Steam early access release for that game. I think it could do really good for the momentum of that game.
I think it would do better. It would get more visibility than the current thing, which is.
I mean, I think right
if you
now,
subscribe as a patron, you can download the demo build.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now that's a fine way to do it because like he's just kind of working on it, no pressure or anything. But like,
it's super early, and
when
I mean, if you're
they
selling it on
feel a little
Steam,
more
even with early access, there's certain expectations at that point.
Yeah, when they're a little more confident in what they have, I guess, in terms of like the system in particular the multiplayer, because it has rollback and everything, but it does. It's very early days for that implementation. It's good, just a little less stable than I think people would want for a Steam release. So
And also figure out this because the systems have changed multiple times.
Put it on itch then.
I mean, I think
itch would make sense.
I mean, I think itch makes sense, but like the membership system does give them more consistent funding than it does just like buying it on itch for like.
Then pay for the new build. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, you just have itch as a distribution platform.
I mean,
do you have to pay anything to get the demo build?
No, you don't. I mean, if
just put it on itch.
If only just so that you don't have to download it the current way, which is some web server that Free set up that has like this really slow download speed, then sure, yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah, Free's probably losing money on that.
Yeah,
no. I think Free's case right now with that server specifically is the fact that it's fast as hell for him to upload to it, and he can just do it whenever.
I mean, I'm just saying it's like really slow to download builds from that. That's all I'm saying.
There's literally no like requirements to upload stuff to itch. You can just push stuff out whenever you want.
Yeah, and you can make things pay for or based on donation or free.
Yeah.
Pay
what you want.
Where is one last thing I want to call out is that there is an update on the Flycast 4-player rollback project. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about it really quickly. So there is an update in which the 4-player rollback system, which allows you to play such classic games as Power Stone 2 and Guilty Gear Isuka, and I literally don't know which else, like the Spawn game, I think.
Yeah, Spawn of the Demon Hands.
Spawn of the Demon Hands. Yeah, like I think there's actually a very small list of games where this works relative to like the effort required.
Outriggers is also like that's actually kind of a cool.
Okay, but Outriggers is a shooter, so you play that on land, so you can play that right now.
Yeah, but now you can actually play it over Fightcade. Or not now, but in the near future.
So now that's the part that we want to talk about. So in the latest update on Blue Minder's Patreon, the way that they're doing this is that they're integrating a lobby system into Flycast. So there's a specific window that opens up that allows you to challenge people, right? So you select all the people you want to send a challenge to, and you select the game, and then all those people get sent a challenge, and it creates the session, right? So that's kind of how you're going to be able to interact with it without going through Fightcade. If you want to check it out, it is patreon.com/blueminder, I want to say is his thing, and you can check out how it's going, and you can see some screenshots, or you can look at Blue Minder's Twitter, it's there as well. But yeah, Flycast with rollback is essentially getting its own front end to do matchmaking, to link you up with your friends outside of Fightcade. So this could be interesting.
Kind of had that to an extent, like it had the matching code.
Yeah, it has the match code system, which is also Fightcade uses the match code like back end to do its thing. But this is now more like directly like people have profiles and stuff. Like you can set your name and you can have like a picture and it shows what games that you want to play and all that stuff. So there's a much more advanced approach for this particular thing.
It's surprisingly involved.
But yeah, quite.
While we're talking about rollback and front ends for games, some crazy person is making a front end for Eternal Fighter Zero Revival. Is another thing that happened since our last show.
Who would do that?
To touch that game in particular.
That game is weird.
What crazy person doesn't?
Yeah, I hear they're adding all kinds of cool features to Eternal Fighter Zero, like the replay mechanic originated from Guilty Gear Plus R.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
You can just view hitboxes now. It's
they're gonna kill me for saying these things.
Isn't all that stuff in Revival to be
it is.
But you have to memorize like 80 keybinds.
Okay, so
like 1 billion keybinds.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about it. I've been cooking up the Eternal Fighter Zero version of Concerto, which is, a front end for these weird poverty games. It works for Actress again, and now it's working for Eternal Fighter Zero, where you can connect to a lobby and play your friends. You can spectate and just kind of have a very traditional experience for the game that kind of updates the look and feel of certain things. So to get to that part, Eternal Fighter Zero Revival, which is like the fan caster for that game. Actually, Mav doesn't like it when I say caster about things that are
It's
not
not a
CC caster
It's not a caster.
because it's not. But everyone that's like the common word now. So sorry, but
No,
let's see.
It's not a caster.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of options. There's the ability to view hitboxes. There's the ability to view collision. There's the ability to view frame data. You can watch a replay, and then you can take over the replay, which is a thing that Guilty Gear Plus R got, which people obviously really love, and is also in the upcoming Breakers collection as well, is what I understand. This was like the game, the mod that originated that idea and really planted it in people's brains. So I actually don't know if that, I'd have to ask if that came from somewhere else, right? Like if they came up with that idea from elsewhere, if there's other examples.
The first game I remember seeing that in was Dota 2 of all things.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the inspiration is like outside of fighting games.
'Cause that was kind of a big thing where you could. That's a much more with a lot more moving parts. But you could just watch a replay and be like, well, what if I did this? And then would that have would I have died or not? And you can just kind of mess with it from there. And it was really, really well. There's actually a lot of stuff in that game that I wish other games did.
Yeah.
It's getting way off topic.
Yeah. So what else? So I'm currently working on getting a working version. Actually, there is now a working version. Go to the Eternal Fighter Zero Discord if you want that, because it is in very early days. It basically works for all the net play functions. You can join a lobby, you can challenge people, you can spectate those things, and it has a basic level of error detection. So if you can't connect to somebody because you time out your connection or whatever, it'll tell you, which makes it all a little more simple because the very first version that I put out there didn't tell you if your connection timed out or something, and so people thought that the application didn't work. No, it's just literally your connection does not let you connect to this person. So that stuff got in there, and people have been using it on and off. It's working well. I actually need to finish a server side update before the end of this month, because it's running on a free tier of a company service that will be phased out at the end of this month. So I need to move it to the paid plan that I'm already using. So I need to update that side of the thing. But that's just just work that needs to be done. Other things that are going to be included right now. I finished doing the model side of the battle log viewer. So something that exists in Actors Again also does this, but in Eternal Fighter Zero, it's a much more robust system. There's a log which shows you the match, how long it took, what the score was, and the characters. And there's a bot in Discord that you can give those logs to, and it'll you can send it commands, and it'll tell you your statistical win rate versus a certain player or versus a certain character in a matchup or something. But you have to be connected to the internet to access it. So having an offline version of that would be nice. So that's something I started working on. Just model, and I wrote the part where it generates all the data from the log file. Now I just need to create the front end, the visualization, all the interfaces that show you all that data. But once those things are done, for the most part, it's good to ship. Thankfully, it was not that complicated of a project because a lot of what was already done for Actors Again can be modified to work there. And so mostly just getting information from testers and stuff. Once again, there are people from Japan, from the EFZ side, who are playing with it, which is always really funny because when we did Concerto for Actors Again, there were Japanese players who were on there. They seem to like it. So that happens, and I'm currently on several projects right now, but there will at least be one more update to that before the end of this month because I have to, and then this will be 100% done before the end of the year, which is what I originally planned. Sometime this year it was going to be done, and it's already kind of in that final stage of just building the features that are unique to EFZ and really making it work. The one thing that EFZ has is a lot of settings, so I need to go back and make it a little easier to parse all those settings. Ideally, you can bring up like a list of all the keys, and you can like not have to scroll through the big text file that tells you everything that you can do, stuff like that. But yeah, if you're interested in that stuff, there's no web page or anything yet because it's just so early. But go to the EFZ Discord, pick yourself up a copy of the game, and start playing with people, and then you can grab the lobby client if you want to try it out. That's pretty much it.
It's smoked by these grindlers who've been playing this game for 20 years.
Yeah,
Go play that game. It's good.
It is a good game, but it's also it's one of those games I wish I like.
You know how a lot of people got their first touch, like their first taste of like an old air quotes Guilty Gear game playing plus R recently.
Yeah.
Try. Give EFZ.
I will say,
put that in your mouth.
Okay, if you're an SNK fan,
see if you like,
you should play EFZ. If you like KOF, play EFZ. If you like if you're one of those people who's like, I love anime, but I also play KOF, EFZ is very SNK inspired. Like,
all right.
Very...
Eternal Fighter Zero is the Nico Doga medley of fighting games.
It's kind of funny because both the original Melty Blood and the original Eternal Fighter Zero came out around the same time.
They're contemporaries.
2002, yeah. And honestly, EFZ is a much better game.
Yes.
At least not like
it really is.
Well,
Melty Blood improved a lot, but that was also over years and years of updates. EFZ had one major update?
Yep, they had one update, and then they kind of just abandoned it to work on the Toho games. Which, you know what? I don't blame them.
And those are bangers too.
I would love to see an update. Yeah, they became the official Toho fan game company.
It's all fine.
And they made one Madoka
or
game.
You get hit by mystery jelly once, and then you sit there and think, which decision should you have made?
You shouldn't have booted the game up. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned KOF because those are both games that I kind of wish I had spent more time learning in the past.
No, dude, like
it seems like I would have liked them, but now it's like
there's so many like little SNK references. There's characters that just straight up have like their archetype is like based on like a KOF character. Like if you like SNK games, like EFZ is very fan servicey about its like its inspirations.
It always felt like there's a lot of Guilty Gear stuff in the game as well. I think that's also
there is a character who is Milia with a demon flip, air demon flip, dive kick, and Aegis reflector.
Yeah, there's a lot of all the character archetypes in those games are like, yeah, okay. So they got all these tools, but they're even more fucked up now. So have fun.
And then one of the characters is just a Sam Show character with air dashes, and she's actually one of the more messed up characters because she can drop all the combos and you still die.
Yep.
Just land through your abs, you're dead.
Or just hit you with three fierces and then you're just dead. Like,
yep.
Yeah, ridiculous hitboxes.
EFZ is a cool game. So you should check it out. I don't know what the future of the project looks like after I finish that, but I'm sure I'll find something to do next year. But let me not make early promises.
No, stop finding things to do.
No. It's fun. It's nice.
Oh, we'll find plenty of stuff for you to do. Don't worry.
There's stuff other. Yeah, you guys will. You guys will.
Yeah, we'll do it, but you need to not go out of your way to do it.
Yeah, you might be right.
You already got it. Like, oh, that reminds me of one other. Let's talk about the other thing you've been working on recently.
FGC Network. Let's talk about it.
Do we want to talk about it? Okay, sure, we can talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it because this is actually kind of important in a way.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know,
if people have been following the news recently, Twitter is becoming a shit show, and it's only getting worse.
Yeah. Twitter is a bit of a mess. So a lot of us in the scene have talked about for a long time about doing a server of what's called the Fediverse, is what people call it. You probably have heard the application name Mastodon thrown around a lot in the past few weeks, as Elon Musk has a great time burning pretty much every core tenet of Twitter. And I have a lot of opinions on that, but like the main thing is like if people decide that they're done with Twitter, the issue is that very few platforms offer metrics. Very few, like it or not, our community is very dependent on visibility. Like being able to find each other, being able to, retweet something and have a lot of accounts see it, like tournaments and event registration and fundraisers and charity, all these things, right? They depend on visibility. And the issue is that if Twitter goes in a direction that is undermining those things, right? Which, I mean, the thing is, like, the first thing that we heard about was like, oh yeah, the new paid verification system is going to be the default. If you're not paying for Twitter, your tweets are essentially hidden. Like, that stuff hurts the community and the discovery that we kind of rely on implicitly. So people are very interested in having an out, right? A different way to connect with those TOs or figures that they listen to.
It was a funny paradox of Twitter, because the fact that Twitter in general was so flat, like a tweet from myself was treated the same as a tweet from LeBron James, or roughly the same as a tweet from President Biden.
Yeah,
that they would all, if they all showed up on the timeline,
they all show up on the timeline.
Happened.
Yeah, I mean, there was the introduction of the
Twitter, how flat it was, but it also made it harder to monetize.
Well, I mean, there was the introduction of the algorithmic timeline, like the For You stuff, which, I think a lot of people in our community don't like, right? Because, like, I think, I don't know if there's a general perception that people don't like that stuff, but I think at least in the FGC, people don't like it because it recommends them just like shit posts instead of like tournament posts and like news and it just doesn't add, like, people
what
really
their friends
want
are up to.
Yeah, it doesn't really add like substantive content. I think people in this little niche, they want like stuff of substance.
Not to say that they're against memes either, but it's just that
it's like you have to
the
keep in mind,
algorithmic timeline is going to be all the hot takes.
It's going to be all the hot takes and shitters because we're all shitters. Like,
People
exactly.
yelling at
all
each other.
our own individual shitters.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in its own way. It's kind of worse in a couple ways in the FGC, because people here are to an extent combative by nature. If you weren't gonna do that, you'd be playing fighting games.
Plus, we're all grind lords.
Yeah, and not to say that doesn't excuse shitty behavior, but it's all like you're just naturally gonna get more pushback.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that happens is that the community needs to have a different way to discover its content if things go south, right, for the platform. And the thing is, like, you think about, like, okay, well, what about Instagram? What about Tumblr? What about Facebook? The thing is that those companies, well over a decade ago, all came out and said, yeah, we've been lying this entire time about our numbers. Like, the Facebook video thing that happened, and then the Facebook pages, like, it's been dispelled for a long time now that those platforms will get you information out there. They are echo chambers. They are closed circles that do not, give you natural organic engagement. Like, you have to pay them to give you advertising, and what you get is just like a bunch of inorganic bot follows and likes and stuff. So, like, those are not real viable alternatives. And then there's another class of alternative that comes out where it's like stuff like co-hosts, things like, all these other competitive apps that come out, and their pitch is, oh, there's no numbers on our platform. We don't show how many, likes this has, or how many retweets this has, or how many followers this account has or the other. There's no competition. There's no algorithm. But the thing is, like, that also denies you the ability to easily discover something. In particular, I think a lot of platforms now are getting rid of text search, the ability to just search for things, because their position on it is that it's anti-harassment, right? People can't just type in a search bar and find, things that they want to dogpile on, right? And it's
also resource intensive.
Yes, and it's also very technically challenging. I mean, sure. I mean, let's assume for a minute that that's not the reason, right? I don't want to bad faith argument people, because I always kind of have that in the back of my mind. It's like, are you actually just not implementing because it's convenient, or it's because it's like too hard? Like, but I don't want to talk to people in bad faith about things like that. So those platforms are cool. I mean, I name drop co-host. I think it's a cool site. It's fine, right? But the thing is, like, our community does depend on having numbers visible. You need to know how many people can follow this account. You need to have the ability to find out about events, or just like plug in, search for your weird obscure game that you want, right? Like, search. if you can't search
I
for
don't know
those
if we need
things,
the numbers, but we do need to be able to search for these things and be able to have them come up organically on the timeline.
unfortunately for numbers,
Well,
you
the
do.
numbers are definitely important. Like
Well, the
especially like you have
numbers
to think
are
about it from
important for
our standpoint.
promoters.
Yeah, like you have to think about it from our
From an
standpoint.
organizational
Like,
standpoint,
we
yeah, it
need
matters
it.
a lot more.
Our
And
FGC
it not being a
organizations,
fundamental feature is like, wow, like okay, so I don't know that 5,000 people actually viewed my video or whatever once
Yeah.
we put out our teaser. Like that tells us like, well, are we
Yeah,
just
what
going to
works?
guess on our event this year
yeah,
and just
it's
hope that
very
we have
difficult.
entrants?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very difficult for anyone to really reach people on these kinds of anti-algorithm, anti-discovery platforms. So the
But that's the
other
nice thing about Mastodon.
Yeah,
is
so let's
there-
talk about
there are those
Fediverse
numbers
things.
and those metrics, but there's no algorithm.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Federated social networks basically treat your social media as your email. You choose where your profile lives, and then you can interact with people no matter where they are, right? So it's like sending an email. You may sign up for Gmail, right? But you can send to your friend over there who uses Hotmail, right? For example, or that other person who hosts their own email address, right? And they all talk to each other and you can all communicate. It's the exact same thing with social media. You post something and it goes out to all these networks, and then the more networks that it knows about, the more posts you can see. And so this creates discoverability, right? Just because people interacting with each other grows that network of people. And then it also still shows you how many followers you have, how many people you're following, how many people have interacted with a post, how many people have shared it, right? It adds those numbers. But like you said, algorithms are not at the bottom of that, right? Like it's all an ordered timeline, which I think in the FGC people like. And there are kind of algorithms being introduced, like Mastodon in particular. Like now they're doing like, oh, here's the trending hashtags, or here's like the most shared links for over a certain period of time. Like there are some kinds of ways that they're trying to make popular content rise to the top. But for the most part, it's very anti-algorithm, but it still gives you numbers. So that's a good place to be. The thing about the Fediverse is what it's called, is that there are some certain differences in implementation. In particular, search is important because Mastodon does not let you search by arbitrary text. It only lets you search by hashtag. So if you want to see all the info about GGST, for example, you have to look up hashtag GGST. This creates a little bit of a discoverability problem, in my opinion, because if people don't hashtag their things, you're never going to find them. And also,
which people are terrible at doing.
Yeah,
and they
which
get
people
offended if you hashtag them for them.
Exactly. People are terrible at that, but also, like, there's so much jargon and terminology that we use that you can't hashtag them all, right? Like, it looks ridiculous if you were to hashtag Okizeme, right, for example, on every single thing that you were sharing that's like a setup, right? So that's not great. Mastodon is growing. They've have explosive growth. People have been using that software for their communities for years and years. There are alternatives out there like PixelFed, which is kind of more focused on like photos. There's PeerTube, which is focused on videos. And then there's networks like FGC.network, which is based on a software called Pleroma. It is basically Mastodon with some extra features, in particular text search. So you can just search for something and you can find it by text. I find that important, so we have it. And it supports most of Mastodon's features. So if you're like, what the fuck is Mastodon? What is the Fediverse? What do I do? And you care about fighting games, or at least you think fighting game people are cool, then you can join FGC.network. You don't have to talk about fighting games there. It's like, yeah, fighting game community, open parentheses, everyone posts about Mahjong and posts like pictures of food. That's what we do.
Hopefully artists come back over there so that way.
Yeah, and there's artists. I follow a lot of artists on the platform as well.
That's the thing with Mastodon. They don't have to be on that server to follow them.
Yeah, and if you know somebody who has like a server, you know, like they have their, a lot of people are on like Mastodon.social now, which is like the big main kind of server. Like if you know somebody who has an account there and you still want to hang out with us over here, you can make your account and you can just type in user@mastodon.social, just like an email, and you can follow them, and then you'll start seeing their posts, and you can like it and comment it or whatever.
You have to search for the username at their host.
Yeah.
And you have to know that.
Yeah.
Like,
so there is a certain
it's not
part.
the most obvious. Like it works well, honestly, and I appreciate like I can go to different Mastodon instances. Like if I go to like gamedev.place and then like you can read the public timeline. It's all indie game developers, and that's cool. You go to Powoo, and it is all Japanese anime artists, and it is horny as hell.
Yeah.
But you can do that, and then you can, if you want to follow specific people on those sites, you can do that from the account here or on the main Mastodon site or on another instance, wherever you want.
Yeah. So,
but you have to. That's the people are like, oh, it's not going to be the next Twitter. It doesn't. That's not the point.
I mean, I think like, first of all, if you want to see what the site is about, check out join.fgc.network. That's kind of like the landing page. That's where you can see kind of an explanation. And I wrote up a bunch of articles explaining just like different parts of it. Like if you're from Twitter, like how to make your timeline look more like Twitter. Some things that you might notice, what we recommend using for apps and stuff. So, you know, if you want to make the transition easy, check that out. Also, like, you know, if the direction of Twitter is directly harmful to discoverability, like there is almost no major platform left that has legitimate, you know, like you said, equal level playing field for people who just want to make posts and share content, right? Like it just does not happen anymore. Like everything is driven by algorithms that at several intersections in the past have been proven to just be complete bullshit and pay for play, right? And that would hurt us. So
that was what was important about Twitter, the networking, and that's why a lot of, not just us, but a lot of companies and brands used it. It wasn't even for the direct marketing or engagement, because Twitter is kind of bad at that, but it was, you know, getting that organic growth out, you know, because it felt, in a way, this is going to be weird to say, but it was more legitimate. So you had a viral tweet on Twitter, like that was a much more organic thing than it would be on, say, Facebook.
Yeah, to bring back Nikkei, our running theme for the episode, like that video of Celan laughing at the butt in that game made that game kind of blow up in the English sphere in a way it probably wouldn't have otherwise.
And they didn't have to pay for that.
Yeah, no, it was free. I mean, it did for the sponsored stream, but tweet going viral, they did not.
But that's, yeah, they didn't pay Twitter for the sponsored stream. They paid Niji Sanji and YouTube.
yeah, so I mean, it's difficult, right? And so like at least I think people have kind of wish-washed between a couple different things. Like one, is Twitter going to go down, which could still happen, or is Twitter going to lose all their advertising revenue by inviting a bunch of people onto the platform that are literally just poison for advertisers, right? And so there's a lot of existential threats. And if Twitter is just, you wake up one day and you open the Bird app and it just does not open, one, you'll probably breathe a sigh of relief, but also you'll probably be wondering how you connect with anyone, right? Because I mean, a lot of us are in fighting game discords, right? But like that's only a part of it. Like how do you find anything else outside of those circles? And so
yeah, it's like how would I connect with like the indie game developers that I'm following on Twitter? How do I follow all the random like sports reporters that I follow on Twitter? How do I follow all the manga and doujin artists that I follow? Where am I going to get all this anime TD?
These people in this call with me besides myself with the VTubers.
Yeah, all the VTubers that we follow. It's like how am I going to follow my Oshi if Twitter dies?
Exactly. So like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of issues with these other platforms that are coming out. I've been aware and very informed about the Fediverse for a long time. I was never really convinced that it was the answer, that there was some big reason to switch. As somebody who used to write software that would run on top of these things, it was a subject of my own research for a long time. But the thing is, like, now all the competitors that exist, the people who are trying to get a piece of that pie that Twitter is freeing up, they're going very anti-discoverability, and I think that's bad for like communities like ours. So you know, if you think fighting games are cool, if you think Ryu from Streets is a cool guy, that's really it. Just, you know, be nice. We've got a very extensive set of support articles, and, you know, we've got our terms and conditions and code of conduct, and you know, we're trying to do a good thing over there. So if you don't know anything about Fediverse or whatever, you don't know what that is, and you want to start building your network, right, then you can. It's open to sign up. It's always there. I've been doing a ton of work personally. I still have a ton of work to do to expand server resources and optimize things and just make things more stable. So you should have no issue signing up now. We had a lot of issues signing up because like thousands of people have signed up. We're at plus 3K now users, and those are all real users because the verification process was not working for a very long time, but it works now. So those thousands of people are authentic. They're there. They're posting. They're hanging out, and yeah, I mean we're there as well. 956 Productions at FGC.network. So if you want to follow us from over there, whatever we post on Twitter, we'll be over there as well.
All right, so I'm a million years old. I know what a 5 Fierce combo is, and I've used the phrase neck kick organically when talking about a fighting game. How is Mastodon different from Usenet groups?
Can you access Usenet from a phone?
You can indeed.
Okay, well that's not one.
It's a lot easier to cross-reference stuff on Mastodon.
Yeah.
And cross-reference users.
You can't share piracy. That's the difference.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, there are like Usenet things on like
there
the
are
App
still
Store.
crazy
That's crazy
people
to
that
me.
still use that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exactly doubting you or anything. I'm just like, wow. There really are apps for everything.
Yeah.
As a
probably
wise
Gopher
man
apps.
once said. Oh, 100%. I think Gopher is less surprising to me. I think Usenet is more of a surprise to me.
Yeah, because Gopher is nothing else very standalone. Like you can just set it up and it's there.
Anyway, let's
That's it.
not scare our audience talking about these things.
We're a bunch of boomers. Who cares? Well, I guess you're lesser a boomer. I'm a definitely.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that. I don't know. Do we have any other topics to cover before we give it a wrap?
I mean, we already covered more than we planned.
Way more than we planned. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, somehow this is only an hour and a half. I mean, I guess an hour and a half is a good place to cut. Anyway, that's been the TO Desk. Thank you guys for watching. Again, we are on youtube.com /@956 Productions. We do have the or you can go to 956pro.com/YouTube to watch these episodes. We will have this one up on podcast platforms. Look forward to that. And again, check out twitter.com for now /956 Productions to find out more about Vortex Gallery Online 2023. Again, registration is open right now for our early lineup. It is going to be start.gg/Vortex Gallery. Look forward to more information very soon.
You can follow us on Mastodon now as well at fgc.network/956 Productions.
Which I should do.
And fgc.network/956 Productions. You want to check that out. And that's pretty much going to be it from us, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Yeah, good night.
Later.
Peace out, y'all.